Meeting has been so advertised. And I will ask you, what do we do first? The flag salute or the attendance?
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me share my screen. I'm letting people in.
That's all right.
There you go. Everybody can see? Thumbs up?
Yes.
Okay.
Roll call first. Okay, Mrs. Coleman.
Mrs. Riley,
Here.
Mrs. Falpel,
Here.
Mr. McMillan,
Here.
Mr. Tavy,
Here.
Mr. Fink,
Here.
Mrs. Marmion,
Here.
Mr. Schaefer,
Here.
Mr. Stotts.
Here. Okay, almost everyone is here. With that, I'll ask you to stand for the flag salute if you would. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. There is no executive session at this point in time. There are no presentations this month. And we then go to the important dates. You're very quick with this, Beth Ann. I'll tell you.
Sorry.
I'll have to talk faster.
Oh, that's all right. I'm sorry.
That's all right. No problem. There you see the early dismissals, the last day of school. You see the ESI program for the summer, July 6th through July 29th on Monday through Thursday. And August 31st is the next board meeting, hopefully. Hopefully that nothing happens in between, that we have to have another meeting. But that's it. We then go to the routine board business. And at this point in time, we need a motion to approve the minutes of the May, whatever the date was, 18th meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Are there any questions or corrections on the minutes? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Report of contracts.
Okay, this is me. This is the annual report of your contracts that have been awarded that I'm required to present to you. So these are all the professional services contracts, even though they were presented one by one as they came up during the year on board agendas. State law requires I present you an overall of all the contracts and the estimated amount. So this is your annual report.
I'm sorry, under educational staffing services, is that a misspell there? Services,
Yes.
yes.
Yes, it is.
All right, and I think if you continue on, I think it's sub-site staffing. I didn't know what that was. I guess it's probably substitute staffing.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that is it. I don't require any voting. It's just I'm required to present it to you so you have it for your information. So that is the report of contracts.
Great.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I know that's a lot more work for you, Beth Ann, but that's a nice summary. But,
Yeah.
Very easy record. It's great.
It's a
Every
very
once in a while,
good
the
report.
government
Yeah.
does do something good. Okay, there's no unfinished business. We come to the first public comment section. If there's anyone in the public that has anything to ask, question, complain about on agenda items, this is the time. We ask you to stand. Well, you don't have to stand. We ask you to give us your name and address and try and keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. There will be another opportunity later in the meeting to talk about anything else that may not be on the agenda. So with that, is there anybody that has anything to bring anything to the board? Anything show up at then? Nope.
Nope,
Okay.
nothing.
And at this point in time then, so we'll move right along to section 7, the superintendent's report. Dr. McDowell.
Good evening to everyone on the call. So the enrollment for May of 2020 was 285. Enrollment as of May 2021 is 271, and the attached enrollment report is attached to the agenda. 7.02 is the safety drill report. This is also attached. No suspensions, no anti-bullying, and then the child study team report for May is also attached in 7.05. And then there are no policies at this time requiring a first read.
I will add to the policy comment that we did receive a packet from Strauss Esme yesterday. So we're going to go through them in the month of July and have something hopefully for you at the August meeting. There is a stack that came in, but we just kind of ran out of time. So
Great.
in August, we will have some policies for you to review.
For those reports you notice is being attached, I don't see them on here.
What you're looking at is the public side of the agenda.
Oh, okay.
We were having some technical issues with board docs lately where when I went in through the public side and not my administrative side, it kept defaulting to my administrative side.
Okay.
So they were seeing content that they shouldn't see when I was projecting for the public, for the board meetings.
Got it.
So it is up there. It's just, this is the public side of the agenda
Okay.
for presentation
So
purposes.
your board member login, you have access to all of the attached documents.
That's good. Okay, section 8, the committee reports. This is the committee of the whole. Is there a motion to go into the committee of the whole?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Sorry, can somebody shout their last name for a second? I heard 2 or 3 people shout all at the same time.
Riley.
Got it.
Much better.
One more time, guys.
I got it. I'm good.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed? Okay, committee of the whole. The structure that I sent out to board members today is changing the standing committees that we have to make them function hopefully a little bit better. So we've gone from 2 committees to 3. We actually had 3 a number of years ago, and we cut it back to 2. We're going to go to 3, and I'm going to make a change already. Curriculum, I'm going to say is curriculum and policy. So I'm going to ask Denise and Chris to assume that as part of theirs. Then we have
Okay.
the person, I'm sorry. Okay,
Yes, fine, perfect.
very good.
That works.
Personnel, we have Rich as the chair with Colleen and Jimmy on the committee. And the FBG, the Finance, Buildings and Grounds, is Therese as chair with Todd and Bob. And I will sit in on each of those committees as necessary. That will still keep us under the quorum. If I'm there, it'll be 4 on 2 of the committees, 3 on 1 of the committees, and we're well under that. The times are my suggestions. They, I believe, are the times that we're meeting now. Curriculum and personnel, I believe, meets at 5:30 and FBG at 6 o'clock. So we're keeping those the same. Jimmy was concerned about the, I guess no, that must be the 5:45 start. Is there any magic to these numbers, or would anybody like to see anything different on here?
Don't want it any later.
Okay, I don't think that's what Jimmy had in mind, though.
I think this is better. This is better than the 6 o'clock meeting for me. So I like this. And also, I guess one of my questions is once this goes, once we're meeting in person again, like, will I walk in at like 5:40, and then as soon as that committee meeting's over, I walk out? Is that how that works?
Yes,
That's correct. It'll be in the library. And if one of the committees goes over, typically what happens, I'll just ask you guys to stay in the hallway so that I don't have a quorum of all the board members in one location. And then when one group leaves, then I'll pull you in.
Sounds good.
Okay?
Do we think that that's enough time for each of the committees? 15 minutes for the first 2?
Hopefully
That was
that's
my,
enough. I don't
that
know that it will be. We're going to find out.
that was my concern.
Did you get my,
because I'm sorry, that was my concern because you threw, just connected the policies to the curriculum. You know, sometimes with those policies, there's a language and stuff that, you know, we usually question, but I guess we can try it and see what happens. And if we have to adjust, we'll adjust.
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you get my email, Bill?
I saw it, but I didn't get a chance to read it. I saw it just before I logged in here.
I guess I was just confused as to why we needed 3 and not why 2 wasn't working.
2 is not working because there is one board member that is disenfranchised.
Okay,
We can't have more than 4 on.
Right,
on the
right.
Committee, or we have a quorum, and we can't have a quorum unless we have
Okay,
a public meeting.
that's what I thought it was, but I wasn't sure, and I just was curious because it's, okay.
Just to clarify, the meetings are going to be on the first Tuesday of the month, correct?
No,
No,
No, second Tuesday. Did I say first Tuesday?
No, you said second, so
Oh.
these meetings are going to be in the same day as we have our regular Board of Education meeting?
no, the Board of Ed meeting is always the 3rd. The committee meetings are always the 2nd.
committee meetings are the week before the board meeting, the
Yeah, I
Tuesday.
thought
before
the
the
meetings are
board.
first and second Tuesdays, second and third Tuesdays.
2nd and 3rd.
And sometimes that's not actually true because of
Right.
holidays and days off and whatever. So yeah, it's
Right.
all, whatever the board meeting date is, you're going to be a week before that for your
Yeah, I know
committee
that.
meeting.
And what we do is we try to stick to the second Tuesday and third Tuesdays. And when we do, I guess, in January, the reorg, or slightly thereafter, when we do the year's worth of meeting dates, we'll look at the calendar and we try to anticipate when budgets are
Right.
going to be due, because they have a
Mhm.
certain due date. When graduations might be, like, we try to work around
Yeah.
all of these days. So there's going to be some nights where it's just a different night because we
Right.
have to get it in, but
Yeah, usually April's later.
yeah. So, yeah, because of spring break. So we do try to, there's going to be probably 2 or 3 months where it might be a little different.
Right.
But the rest of the time it's pretty much right on target.
Okay, you on board with that, Bob?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Just a quick question. At this point, we would be, I guess, splitting the curriculum and personnel. Wasn't originally there was like a community relations committee or something like that? Do we want to go back to that as the third committee?
I don't recall that committee, Rich.
Right.
I've never seen
Not to
one.
say it wasn't there, but I don't recall that.
No.
And I think there's potential value in having kind of a curriculum committee almost as a standalone. You know, sometimes it might be more apropos at a secondary level, but I think, you know, in the coming years and some of the changes that could be coming down the pike, that having a committee dedicated for curriculum, you know, review and approval could be quite meaningful and a benefit to the district. So, I mean, time will tell, but I think it's certainly you know, potential move in the right direction.
We'll see just how much weight the policy situation lends into the curriculum committee, and we'll make an adjustment if necessary. If it looks like we need more time, we'll come back to that. And yeah, but I do agree with you, Todd. We have to stay on top of that curriculum all the time.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Very true. And your policy is periodic. As Beth
Yeah.
Ann said, she just got a ton of
Backup.
policies this week. So the next meeting, it'll be heavy. You'll go 3 or 4 meetings, you probably won't have anything.
Right,
So
exactly.
It
Yeah.
it all evens out, I think, in the long run.
I did get an email from Denise, and I don't know if it was a Oaklyn committee or maybe it was the liaisons. You know how we do the PTA and liaisons report, because she did email because she couldn't be at the meeting today. There's a couple policies she wanted us to look at that look like that they were expired, but she did say that it looks like at one time Oaklyn had a school community relations committee, which is what Rich was talking about. But again, I don't know if it was an actual like committee of the board, if it was a liaison that just kind of, so I'll
Right.
reach out to her because that would have preceded me. I think I've been here since 2013 and we haven't had one since 2013. So I will follow up with her. Maybe it was a liaison. Maybe she has some information as to what that was. So,
Yeah,
okay.
necessary. We can work something out on that. This stuff is not in concrete at this point in time. So if we need to make changes, we will. We want something that works for everybody, and that's the idea. So, as I say, if we have to make a change, we'll make a change.
Bill, I think you had also said that you requested all board members review the agenda before any committee meetings happen, so that you can get questions to chairs in advance of the meetings. Is that right?
Yes, no, well, maybe not quite. What I'm doing, I'm asking everybody to read the proposed agenda before your committee meeting. And with that, I've also asked that Dr. McDowell and Mrs. Coleman attend all three of the committee meetings. So if anybody on one of the committees has a question in another area on a committee that they're not on, I want you to ask them at that point in time so that you get the answer right from the horse's mouth. We're not going to make this any more complicated. I think that has to be. So hopefully that works. That's going to be contingent on reading the proposed agenda before your meeting, and then asking the appropriate party if you have a question on somebody else's agenda.
Bill, I also want to set the right tone and expectation is that prior to the committee meetings, sometimes there can be changes leading all the way up to the committee. So I just want to set the right expectation that if you read it too far in advance, there could be some deviation from what's actually discussed during the committee.
Yeah, that's very true, Fred, and that's a good point. I generally read them, as Beth Ann can attest, I generally read them on Sunday before the committee meeting. So that comes pretty close, but even at that point, you could well have something changed before the committee meeting. You can also have something changed on the agenda before we get to the official monthly meeting too. So we'll do the best we can. We'll make this work, or we'll change it. At the same time, I also mentioned that it theoretically effective July 1st, but in actuality, it'll be the end of August when we have our next scheduled meeting. We're going to go to a full public forum with no virtual option. I know Jimmy was concerned about this. I don't know whether he wants to discuss that at this point or not, but this is your chance, Jimmy, if you want to.
Yeah, we could talk about that either now or at the committee of a whole part.
Committee of a whole.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were somewhere else. Okay.
That's okay. Just dozed off for a while. That's all right. No problem.
No, so I don't think it's a great idea to just go away from Zoom. I mean, clearly for the board members, yes, we should be in there in person, but I don't think. I think throughout the past year, what we've all learned is that everybody doesn't have to be in person to get things done. I think the world has done a lot of movement and a lot of pivoting via virtual meetings and Zoom. And I'm just thinking of other families. Like I have families, probably friends of families that are in town here, that if they wanted to join the board meeting, they'd have to either find a babysitter. There's a bunch of single parents out there. They have to find a babysitter. They're going to have to, they don't have an option to go, or maybe there's somebody stuck in the hospital and there's something really important on the board agenda that they would like to jump into. I don't think there's any reason to throw away, like I said to you, a tool that's in the toolbox that's been so important for us for the last year, especially with the tech team. It's not cost prohibitive. I mean, it's not expensive to get this thing done, to where we set up in the library and we set up, 2 or 3 microphones through a Zoom committee, and we have a TV that the public can join in. And I think, Bill, you had said, it's not a big deal because we only have like a couple people in the community that actually join. And that seemed to me like that's not a bragging point. I would rather see more community members involved in the board meetings and knowing what's going on a little bit more than having 1 or 2 people, joining the board meetings at a time, and everybody else kind of being in the dark. Before I was on the board, like at the beginning of the pandemic, it was hard for me to find Zoom links and find information for the meetings at the beginning, because clearly everybody was pivoting to Zoom. But I feel like, it's a tool in the toolbox that we've been using, and I don't think there's a reason to throw it down the drain immediately or at all for that matter.
I agree with Jimmy 100% for the exact same reasons.
Okay, just let me make a few comments and then I'll throw it open. The, as far as the single parents, feel free to bring your kids to the board meetings. That's not a particular problem. You don't need to go out and find a babysitter to do that. Feel free to attend. The other part is, Beth Ann, how many people do we have attending tonight? 3 was the last number I saw. Beth Ann?
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm trying to look at the list. We have
okay.
about 4 or 5.
4 or 5. Okay, we have a good attendance tonight. You know, and is it a useful tool? It may be. I don't see that we've had a lot of use over the last year or so from it. We've had some people attend.
We've been doing Zoom only for the last year.
Yes.
I don't
can
think because
can
it's not used as a reason to not, like, if it's only used by a few people, it's a reason to not use it at all, or at least have it as an option. It doesn't harm anybody. It makes it more accessible to people. There's plenty of people who may not want to bring their kids to it.
Can
I
I,
just-
can I,
we
can
have
I
the tool.
interject?
Please.
So I'd like to interject. I think that, I just kind of want to put on the radar for the board in terms of advocacy aligned to what Jimmy's talking about, is we will be in the fall, we'll be engaging in a logistically challenging reopening. In addition to in the fall, beginning to engage in long-term strategic planning. So I think that my recommendation would be, at least for the first semester, for us to include Zoom as a core component in board meetings in order to make sure that we have maximum participation with some pretty key big initiatives that we'll be lifting. And
Okay.
evaluate it then, and then determine maybe for the second semester on whether or not there's validity, to Bill's point.
Okay, just a couple of comments. I thought I had heard somewhere at one of our past meetings that there was some concern about our tech people being able to set up both the in-person and the Zoom meeting. Does that present us? with
Yeah,
any
I've been working with tech on that. I've got 2 things going. We're trying to figure out, obviously the best way to have public involved via Zoom in a public meeting. And I'm also asking the tech team to price out like the streaming equipment. Because, Collingswood, when we were in person, we streamed our board meetings live. We had the camera, in the corner, and then if you could stay home and watch. So I have them pricing out the equipment to see how much it would be to be able to stream all of our meetings live so people can watch from home. But what that doesn't do is allow for the community engagement, the questions. So we're also looking at, I guess, the best way to have Zoom where they can engage and in the public participation part and ask their questions via Zoom while we're in person, without there being the feedback. And obviously it's a logistical thing, because everybody's got their, if everybody's not muted and they're on their computers, you do get some feedback if you're sitting next to each other. So we have to work that out, but we're in the process. I don't really have answers at this time because we're trying to collect Chromebooks and close out school, but the tech team it is on the radar.
It may look different than what it currently looks like now. So I think they just want to kind of put that out there. So the format, the end user interface may look a little different, but we should be able to find some level of compromise, even if the format looks a little different than what we've been currently doing in this iteration.
At the very least, it should be recorded so that people at a different time than Tuesday night at 6:30 can go back and sit down at their time frame and listen to what's going on, and then possibly present questions in a day or 2. I think it is important to keep the public informed, and at least have a channel there where they can find out what's been going on and what's been said, otherwise than hearsay and Facebook and all that other stuff. But yeah, the semantics of doing this is a little more difficult than we thought.
Right, and that's why I have them pricing out the live stream equipment, the camera and the live streaming.
Right.
And then we just have to play around with it with the correct placement of the camera. Not that you need to know this, like we've been doing it in Collingswood for a while, but the camera is so far away
Yeah.
that people can see, but they can't necessarily hear.
Yeah.
So even in Collingswood, I'm looking to kind of revamp that, maybe move the cameras up, so that the experience is a little better for folks that are home, because either you can see really well and you can't hear, or vice versa. So we got to kind of find the happy medium. So we are working on it. I just don't have anything to report right now.
I'm sure they're on top of it, but there's omnidirectional microphones. You could have like 2 or 3 of them, and they pick up in a circle, and you could just have them going through a soundboard, kind of. Yeah.
But could I ask, why can't we do it the way that our kids are doing? There's hybrid learning. This might be, maybe I'm simplifying it too much, but if we all had headphones and we're on the same Zoom, but we're in the same room, couldn't we?
Yeah, no, that's a possibility. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that could be a simple, I think, Rich, you suggested that at the last meeting, didn't you?
Yeah, that's the way we've done it in Glassboro. It's worked out pretty well. They insist on using WebEx, which doesn't work quite as well as Zoom does, if I'm being honest. So that they've had some technical glitches, but board members and panelists would wear headphones and a microphone. Doesn't even need to be the big ones. It could just be the earbud with the small microphone. And then what they do, we'd be sitting just like we are right now, only at the library, and they set up a laptop as well on a podium for on-site participants if they have a question or whatever, that they would then approach the laptop, same way they would stand up or address the board and raise their questions or comments on a Zoom window that's open on the laptop there, so that remote participants could then interact and hear what they have to say, and then they would just mute the laptop when they're finished. To me, I see more value in that than just live streaming. Somebody mentioned earlier, because you do lose that opportunity for people who are remote to interact and ask questions or comments of the board. So I think, if we're going to do it, I don't see why not. Like, why shouldn't we? We have the technology at this point to do it. Why not offer it to the community?
Right.
But I think, having them be able to either ask a comment or type a comment into the chat, I think is really the value of it.
Yeah, I think my comment was only that that's the last resort we would go to, just the recording and letting someone take a look at it. If we couldn't come up with anything too quickly that would, give us the clearness and the participation and everything that we're looking for, if we're going to do it and do it right. Yeah.
And first, we have the equipment and the knowledge and the wherewithal to offer the kids remote learning in the fall as well, but we're not going to do that. So we're going to force the kids to go back into person without any remote option, but the parents, we're going to give them the option of just listening in at home. I hate to keep saying this, Jimmy, I'd love to have more participation. I'd love to have 200 people at these meetings every week. But I've been doing this long enough to know that that's just not going to happen.
But the technology wasn't here long enough ago. It's here now.
Technology's been here for a year, and I don't think we've ever had more than 5 people. And I'm not sure who those 5 are. When it first came on, it looked like it was Chuck Lehman from the borough, and Chuck is always here because he's the liaison. The retrospect reporter was there. One of them is probably Jen Bolton. I'm not sure who the other 2 people are, but it seems like we're doing a lot of work for a minimal return.
Okay, so at what point do we just take this to vote?
We will take this, at this point, we're going to go with the full in person. When Beth Ann is able to get back to us and tell us what we can do, how we can do it, what it's going to cost us, we can then make a decision to go further with that.
I mean, I don't understand why that's not democratic. I mean, it sounds like you just made the rule and that's just how it's going to be.
Yeah, I kind of think that the board president has the ability to do that, but I'm not absolutely certain of that. And we have to be able to do it. We have to do it right. We can't just throw it together. Beth Ann has presented, the thing I remembered was the feedback from the mics. Now, if you buy headphones for everybody, maybe that solves that. But, you know, we're going to buy headphones for 12 people approximately, so that we can have one or two more people attend the meeting. The meetings are open, the meetings are advertised. You're more than welcome to attend. We'll do anything for you that we can to have you attend. But the problem with the democracy is it takes a little bit of work. You know, if it was a dictatorship, you know, this is it, we're going to do it this way, and everybody's going to vote for the guy in column 3. Well, in a democracy, you have to actually do some background. You have to check on people. You have to decide what's going on. And in the case of the school board, you might have to physically come to a meeting. You know, we tend to get the same people over.
If we could just move on, I feel like you're mocking me at this point, and I'm not.
No, I'm not, Jimmy. And I don't mean it to sound that way, but it's a case where we're doing a lot of work. Somebody's going to do a lot of work. It's not going to be me because I'm completely.
I can clearly help. That's fine with me. I'm willing to put in some effort. That's not a problem. I'm pretty versed in it. So.
And I think we live in a new, the world is not the same as it was before the pandemic, and it never will be, and it shouldn't be. And if we have a new opportunity, we have new technology, we've seen that things work. It just doesn't make sense to not try it just because maybe we'll only have 2 people show up. That's my opinion.
And they may not come for a couple of months, but then in September and October, when things are uphill and we're trying to figure out what's going on. I mean, we've seen this before. We've had about 150 people show up when we were talking about sending our students to Collingswood, and then some weeks you don't have anybody. But I think there has to be a way for everybody to be a part of this, whether they can physically be here at the meeting or not. And
it doesn't.
I mean, seriously, this is what this community, you know, outreach and staying involved and letting people get involved is all about. They really need to know what's going on.
It doesn't hurt to have more options accessible for people.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to come to a meeting.
I think we have to set our goals to be able to set this up and do where we are in a meeting together and have people that can come in via Zoom or whatever means. I mean, no, nobody does the same job 5 years ago that they do now. Everything changes in life. You look at your actual profession, you don't do it the same way you did it 5 or 10 years ago. Things change. We have to be able to change, see what's in the future. And I think this is the path we have to at least explore to see how we're going to get this done and how much it's going to cost us.
I mean, I'm grateful to be able to participate right now because Southwest Airlines had a nationwide grounding of all of its airlines. So, you know, there's another example of if that was an option. But, and I also, just my last point on this is Denise Butchko was going to be presenting tonight, I see, on something that an NJSBA forum on public relations that she attended. And I suspect that there might be, you know, some ideas that she might bring forth from that about getting our community more involved. So again, the technology, you know, using these things that are there, I don't think is a bad thing. I want to be in person as much as anyone. But I don't think that if we're all in the same room and we also have this, it would hurt our meetings. I think it would just enhance them.
If we really want to stay on top of keeping social media under control and getting people out the true information, we need to move forward with the technology. There's no sense kidding. We have to come up with a way that everyone who wants to, barring the fact that they can't physically get to a meeting, can listen and see to what really is going on at the board meeting and what we're really doing.
Yeah, to your point, Chris, it'll kind of stop any hearsay. Like if somebody thought they heard something, they can just literally go back and fact check because it'll be there forever.
And I think that's part of the problem. You have 2 or 3 people that go to a board meeting and 50 that sit down that night and go on to, you know, Facebook. And then you've got 2 or 3 people trying desperately to, there wouldn't be any of that anymore. There's equal opportunity for everyone, no matter where you are and what's happening, to be a part of this. There's no excuse, you know, really, seriously. I mean, like you said, you can be in the hospital, you could be anywhere, and you could be getting the information that you need for your children. And I think it's important. I do. Just how we do it, that's what we have to figure out. So I think we're pretty much at the point where we agree it's got to happen, but I think we're stuck on how.
So let me add an additional component, and this came from our educators. Our educators formally recommended that we maintain the ability for some level of remote component. For one, it makes it much easier to engage parents that have challenging schedules. Two, it eliminates some of the drive time, especially when professional development can also be offered, and it reduces overall costs and expenditure for travel time for some of our educators. So our teachers and our administrators across the board have asked that we be allowed to exercise certain levels of flexibility for the sake of engagement and efficiency.
And for the educational, in the event of a problem, should we have a relapse in the fall, it's good that the school has the ability to quickly shift back to the full remote. It sounds like I'm a severe minority in this. Beth Ann, are you able to make this happen for the August meeting?
I'm gonna meet with with our techs to see what we can do. I mean, the easiest would be, like Rich said, get some headphones, order 9 headphones. We already have Chromebooks, and we go that route for August. I don't know if we're gonna have the streaming equipment. I mentioned the streaming equipment because it's for the recording purposes. So somebody can come back later and watch. I mean, I can record on Zoom. We would just need to work that out, but it would just, our recorded meetings would continue to look like they look now, because we would all be in front of screens, as opposed to the community seeing all of us sitting in our typical U-shape configuration. So it's just a different way it looks, that's all.
If I could just ask a quick question, not to belabor any point here. While the kinks are still being worked out or the options are still being looked into, does the board, do we agree to still at least meet in person for our August meeting? I wanted to get the consensus.
Well, I don't think anybody was against us meeting. I think it was just we wanted to make sure we had the option for the public.
Well, I guess that's my question, that if that's maybe still not fully available, are we still in agreement that we'll still go on and have our meeting in person?
Whatever, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Yeah.
At least that's step one.
Okay. Do we have a consensus then that no matter what happens, the board meeting in August will be in person, at least for board members?
And I'll have something worked out before then,
Okay,
the tech team, so.
okay.
Okay.
We'll go with that at this point in time. Okay. Anybody else have anything to discuss in the committee of the whole? No, okay. Is there a motion to come out of the committee of the whole?
So moved, Riley.
Second.
Think.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. We're back in public session. We're now on section 9, the liaison reports. Denise is not here tonight. Therese, you mentioned something that you wanted.
Denise sent me her report, Bill, so I can just very briefly present the PTA report.
Okay.
She said there was no PTA meeting since our last school board meeting, but they're meeting on Tuesday to hopefully elect a new president.
Okay. That was
Short
Does
and sweet.
anybody know who the president or who the nominees are for the president of the PTA?
I do not. Therese, do you know?
I believe Karen Williams,
Karen Mercer.
Mercer, sorry. Williams. Apologies.
It's Karen Mercer Williams.
Great.
Wasn't that meeting last night?
It was last night. I was just going to say that.
Sorry, I missed it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just reading from her email, so that she sent over the weekend. So yeah.
Oh, yeah, they changed it from tonight to Monday night because of another conflict.
Okay.
She is the president.
In that there was one nominee, we can assume that she was elected president, right?
Yeah, she is president. I was at the meeting last night.
Great. Okay, good.
Sorry, guys.
Okay. Moving right on to OMASAC, Therese.
Yes, so OMASAC is working to spend their DARE money. They're working with the Oakland Police Department. They submitted the grant for the 2021-2022 school year, and it's a reduced amount again. And they announced the scholarship winner. It's a $500 scholarship that went to Ben Curry. And that is all.
Great, great. Congratulations to our winner. Okay, the Collingswood Board. The Collingswood has our next meeting next month. The last meeting, their May meeting, they had a proclamation for Teacher Appreciation Week. The total enrollment at that point in time was 2207 for the district. Middle school and high school was 1245. They approved a shared service agreement with Audubon for technical services. They approved the use of facilities for Kyle's Rec, the 4th of July celebration, and the wrestling camp. They approved membership in NJSIAA again, as they do every year. They approved a number of teachers and support staff changes. They were numerous. And they approved summer buildings and grounds workers. And this week, I believe Keith will have, he went over quickly in a committee meeting last night, the projects they hope to accomplish this summer. And that was about it. Any questions?
Yeah, yeah, quick question, Bill, you mentioned, and I don't know if Keith or Dr. McDowell or Beth Ann might have more info, because I missed the meeting, that there were shared services with Audubon for the tech department, is that?
Yeah, and as needed basis with the tech department. What that is, it's the gentleman that ran the tech department in Collingswood left and went to Audubon. He has some of the historical knowledge and whatnot, and on occasion it may be necessary to contact him. So that shared services agreement is on an as needed basis, but I think it's on an hourly basis, is it not, Beth Ann?
Yes, it's, yeah, in the event that we need to pick his brain, we have the ability to do so.
All right, cool, awesome, thanks.
Okay, anything else? Okay, the Oakland Educational Foundation. Therese, you're on again.
Hi, so the technology fund is still open, but we haven't received any funds in a while. They awarded the scholarship. It was $1,000 that went to Alexa Cusit, if I'm saying her last name correctly, but congratulations to her. And there is a opening on the OEF board for the secretary position. And that's it.
Okay, just lost my train of thought. I had a question. Oh, the money for the repairs, the tech repairs, what's going to happen with that? I assume that's not going to be necessary next year with the kids going back full time.
Well, I mean, we still have a one-to-one Chrome initiative, so Chromebook initiative. So the original reason for establishing that was to help out families, so that we wouldn't have to be asking for the insurance. I don't know what the plan is going forward if Chromebook users are going to have to be incurring that cost, but I don't see why a fund like that couldn't be useful going forward.
Yeah, that's really what my question is. That it's fine holding the money if we can reimburse it as we need it, or as the kids need it through the year. So,
Yeah, that was the intent originally. With COVID, we suspended the Chromebook insurance, that $25 fee that parents paid. So we were seeing a little bit of a shortage in that pot of money that we hold to the side to make the repairs on the devices and do the breaks and fixes. So OEF started this fundraiser to replenish basically our stock for break and fix items. We haven't touched it yet because we're just getting all the Chromebooks back now. Everybody's dropping back their Chromebooks, and the tech team's probably going to spend a bulk of the next couple weeks either tracking down items that are not returned and looking to see just how many may need to be repaired and how bad the repairs are. And then depending if we need funds, a drawdown of funds to help replenish some of the stock items that we keep for the break and fixes, then I guess I'll email Adam. But I think they were waiting for me to kind of let them know what we needed. And at this point, I still don't know. So
That's correct.
yeah.
Great. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, section 10, the business administrator's report. Beth Ann.
All right. This evening I have for you your May monthly report of budgetary transfers, your May secretary and treasurer's report and cash flow analyses, a listing of the purchase orders that were issued in the month of June, and a listing of the warrants to be paid on your behalf. And I did tell the finance committee, but the first 2 weeks of audit, first 2 weeks of August, we are scheduled for your audit. Okay. So hopefully by the time we meet in August, I'll have an idea of how the audit wound up. I don't know if I'll have actually numbers for you as far as our fund balances, but I should have an idea of the audit.
Okay, great. Thank you.
That's my report.
Okay, the Finance, Buildings and Grounds Committee. Therese, you're on again. Good thing you
All
called
right.
in.
So item 11.01 is the approval of the transfers that Beth Ann just went through. 11.02 is certification of no over expenditures. 11.03 is, sorry, board certification of no over expenditures. Is that right? Sorry, they look like
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes, there's two certifications. There's mine and then there's yours.
Got it. Sorry.
So I have to say to the community, no line account's been overspent in your budget, and you as the board review my financial report and say, yes, we concur.
Apologies, working on a machine that I'm not
Nope.
used to, but just having a hard time reading. 11.05 are our purchase orders for the month, and 11.06 are the warrant approvals. 11.07 is a revised shared child study team services with the Collingswood Board of Education. 11.08 is recommendation to approve interlocal services agreement with Oaklyn Borough to maintain the grounds, which is maintained at the same level that it's been for years at $13,000, correct? 11.09 is the IDEA grant for fiscal year 22. So it details the basic and the preschool amounts for the year. 11.10 is, this is good news, a surplus that's being returned to us from our JIF. 11.11 is the next school year's special education placements. 11.12 is the resolution to, sorry, the amount that we can go up to in capital reserve, and which is $200,000 for maintenance reserve and up to $300,000 for capital reserve. 11.13 is a recommendation to approve the sale of a 2019 Ford Cargo van to the Collingswood Public School District. This is a vehicle that we are no longer have use of, and it was being used for transfer of food with NutriServe to another school that we are no longer doing. So the amount that the committee has recommended that we sell it to Collingswood is $17,500. 11.14 is an RFP for strategic planning services. So this would be working in partnership with the Collingswood Public School District. And we would be getting costs, and we would be talking about incurring the cost based on the percentage of our population in relation to Collingswood. 11.15 is approval of, we've got a couple of we've got 3 use of facility approvals. The Oakland Cougars for their fall season, the Oakland Collingswood travel basketball, and that's 11.16, and 11.17 is Oakland Soccer Club fall season. And that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Teresa. Is there a motion to approve 11.01 through 11.17?
Riley,
Okay, was there a
Second.
second in there too?
I need a second. I only heard Riley. I'm sorry.
Second,
Second, McMillan.
Got him. Thank
Okay.
you.
Are there any questions on any of these items? Okay, I have one, which is on the sale of the van. I have no objection to working with Collingswood. I have no objection to giving Collingswood a deal on the van. They do a fair amount for us, although they also get paid for what they do for us. But that van, the blue book value of that van is between $28,000 and $32,000. There was a quote out there from a Chevrolet dealer offering $25,000 for the van. Giving it to Collingswood for $17,500, I believe, is giving away an asset of Oakland way too cheaply. Personally, I think maybe 21,000 would be a reasonable number. They would get a good deal and we'd make a little bit of money out of it.
Hey, Bill, from a Collingswood standpoint, I don't think that'd make any sense. If we bought a new for 21, a couple of years ago, that means they could buy something new for 22 or 23. So there's no way, if I was a Collingswood, I'd buy that van.
Okay, but if they bought another van, which would be fine, that's their decision, we'd then sell it to the Chevrolet dealer for $25,000.
I guess during the meeting, the point was that because we want to work with Collingswood and we don't want this to become any type of contention between our board and Collingswood's board. It's like we're trying to hose them. That's why we offered at this price. We went back and forth on this probably for half an hour or something along those lines to try to figure out a balance between what we should do best for Oakland and how we can accommodate Collingswood. The only thing I didn't want to get into was if you start fishing around and maybe having a public bid or something like this, we're going to end up spending a lot of man hours and time for probably not all that much gain.
Yeah, Bill, I was torn myself too. And, to Bob's point, we did go back and forth a lot in committee. I was looking at it as, okay, how can we continue that positive relationship with Collingswood, kind of work a deal there? Yeah, there's potentially more money out on the table, pursuing those other options. And I, kind of wavered back and forth, but felt, with a reasonable or practical amount, but still kind of looking to Collingswood for the first option. I mean, that was my rationale behind it. I think we all had kind of some mixed feelings on it, as we discussed, but at the end of the day, I kind of felt like, well, if we can kind of help Collingswood in the situation, but we're not, to any major detriment to our board, and I had kind of said, hey, maybe we meet in the middle, we look at that 17.5. So, I mean, that was just some insight, I guess, to my thought process in committee when we discussed it.
Okay, I understand, but we pay Collingswood over $2 million a year for various things, mostly for tuition. So they do reasonably well. We represent Oakland, not Collingswood. And one of our charges is to preserve the assets of the borough of Oakland, or the Oakland School District. And it's not a great deal of money. It's more money than I have in my wallet right now, honestly, but I'm concerned about doing it. So that's my thought.
Dan, did you go over the private bidding? I think you spoke about the private sector selling as the private sector and having to do the bid out.
Yeah, the Oakland, when we bought this, we bought it off state contract for fleet pricing. So that's kind of why it was the price was low to Oakland when we bought it. So we're comparing, not necessarily comparing apples to oranges because it was fleet pricing and now we're looking at market pricing. And we could do a reverse bid and we could put the specs out and, you would take, the highest bid when it comes in. But we did try to quote out as best we could. I know like Mr. Stoltz looked at Kelly Blue Book. We looked at those things too, but even on that, it's a fleet vehicle, like a stripped down fleet vehicle. So I wanted to make sure we were getting apples and apples and oranges to oranges in that comparison. I'm still not 100% sure that was the case. But yeah, we could do could do a reverse bid, but the committee, like I said, we discussed it at length and they came back at a compromise between the original purchase price and the book value. They kind of met it right in the middle. So.
I mean, the last thing that I'll say on that is that, we have an obligation to our community and to our students first and foremost, and the Oakland students become Collingswood students. So it's not that we're, giving another school district a deal on something and leaving money on the table where we could be getting a source of revenue for our district. I think it would service our population in part as well. So that's why, we have such a symbiotic relationship with Collingswood that was my feeling in our discussion as to why this would not be a bad idea.
Oh, and I did forget to mention what kind of factored into obviously the original offer from Collingswood on this van was we need to, I guess, do some work on the interior of the van once received. Not that that's any obligation to Oakland, but that was kind of a factor that when we get it, we have to install some shelving and some stuff in the back for its use. Because right now Keith explained, but it's basically empty in the back, so we need to install stuff to kind of make it a little more usable beyond what it was originally used for. So that was kind of the original thought out there.
Beth Ann, do you know if legally we can sell this at a profit pay because we got it under state contract? We can sell it for more than we actually paid for it.
That I don't know. I know we bought it. I think you can sell it for whatever you want.
All right.
Because of state contract. I just know, like, when we were looking at pricing, it's not exactly the same because we got it already cheap because it was fleet pricing. But that's a good question accounting wise. Either way, I'm going to write off the asset on your fixed assets, and you guys are going to have a gain either way in the food service account for the sale of the vehicle. So.
Yeah, I think what we paid for is immaterial. It's an asset that we own that we can sell. It's not restricted as far as I know in any way, shape, or form. So we could sell it for whatever we could get for it. To carry this to the ridiculous level, if we ever decided to close the school and sell it, would we be suggesting that we sell the property for the amount we paid for it in 1927? The answer to that's no, obviously.
It's a big difference in depreciation.
Vehicles aren't necessarily assets, especially, we brought that up too. If it's just parked in the lot, 17.5 in our pocket today is better than the perceivable 21.5 in a few weeks. But its value is not going up like a building.
It seems that we do have at least one unanswered question. Do we want to table this until Beth Ann can let us know definitively if we can sell it privately?
Well, you can sell it privately. I thought I did answer that. You can do a reverse bid, and then whoever wants to bid on it would put in a sealed envelope for what they would offer.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought
I did answer.
But I thought there was a question that was just asked and you said, I'm not sure.
That was whether I could sell something up from state contract for profit.
Question.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
should
I
be
thi-
answered before we go forward. Yeah.
But I don't see why you can't. So that's why I said I think I answered that question.
I think we also discussed doing the reverse bidding was maybe going to eat up the man hours that could potentially be the profit. Having to open these tiny envelopes and figuring it out, and then doing all that versus just transferring it over to the other school. I might be wrong, but
Well, no, it's just, it would be a little more administrative work for Keith and I. So,
Okay, anyone else? Okay, I got another comment. That is the, Beth Ann, could you scroll back up? I think it's 11:18, 15 maybe, 11, no, it's not 18.
what exactly would,
The strategic planning, 11:14. I have no objection to going out for a RFP on this. But I just want everybody to bear in mind that, A, you don't need to accept that. And this is something, the strategic planning, there should be some input that the board has before we decide that we're going to go ahead and do this and give somebody a contract on it. I just want you to understand that, so that you can always reject the RFPs. So keep that in the back of your mind. Okay, anything else? On a roll call.
Mrs. Riley,
Yes.
Mrs. Falpel,
Yes.
Mr. McMillan,
yes.
Mr. Tavy,
Yes.
Mr. Fink,
Yes.
Mrs. Marmion,
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Stocks.
Yes, except 11.13 where I vote no. Okay, moving right along, we have section 12, curriculum, technology, and personnel. Rich, you're on.
Thank you, sir. We are looking for approval for items 12.01 to 12.09. 12.01 is field trips. There are none at this time. 12.02 is an NJFLA leave for employee number 10434. 12.03 is a paid sick leave for employee 10434. 12.04 is approval of contract for an elementary teacher, Kelly Cummings. 12.05 is to approve the 2021-22 extracurricular stipends. 12.06 is a revision to the summer staffing, our summer program staffing list. 12.07 is approval of substitutes and tutors. 12.8 is travel expense, which there's none at this time. And 12.09 is to grant permission to the superintendent for summer hiring in 2021.
Okay, is there a motion for 12.01 through 12.09? Please.
Riley, so moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or discussion on any of these items? Okay, not to disappoint you, I have one. The NJ family leave, does that include benefits?
No.
I'm sorry, did you want me to answer? I didn't know if somebody else was answering.
I don't know the answer. I would assume that's either Fred or Beth Ann.
Okay, no. And then when the person in item 12.03, when they transition to the paid sick leave,
If it's in
that would be when it comes back in.
Okay, agreed. Now, can we make that clear in this motion that there are no benefits with the NJFLA leave, but there are with the paid sick leave?
Sure.
Okay, does everybody understand that motion now?
I tell you the truth, I don't understand this because O2 says he wants to go and leave, I guess, unpaid sick leave, unpaid leave. O3 says he wants to use sick time. So I'm kind of lost about what's going on here.
Well, apparently it doesn't have enough sick time to cover the amount of time
All
he
right.
wants to take off.
So he's going to burn through the sick time first, and after that, he goes on unpaid leave?
No, the request was the reverse.
All right.
And so just so I'm understanding now, everything, so the benefits are for the paid sick leave. They are not for the NJFLA leave, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct. So again, just so you understand that, when we approve the NJFLA leave, that does not include benefits.
Without benefits, yeah.
When we approve the sick leave, that does include benefits.
Yes.
Yeah.
understood.
Okay, good. Anyone else?
Since we're at it, for 1204, Kelly Cummings, she's coming in at BA, I guess, step 5. And an explanation said because of her previous work experience. How does that work? I mean, I know if she's a teacher in another district, works 4 years, she comes here, she'd be a step 5. Is that other experience as a teacher, or is that other experience as a long-term sub? Jen's on here. That'd be your question. You're the one who wrote the letter.
Fred?
Yes, I'm here. That is years of public school teaching experience, but she also has a ton of other experience that just wasn't in the public school. So we're only giving her the 5 for the actual public school teaching experience.
Okay, that makes sense to me. I was just wondering.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, on a roll call.
Mrs. Riley,
Yes.
Mrs. Valpel,
Yes.
Mr. McMillan,
Yes.
Mr. Tavy,
Yes.
Mr. Fink,
Yes,
Mrs. Marmion,
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes,
Mr. Stotts.
Yes. Okay, section 13, policy and miscellaneous, Dr. McDowell. Got an easy one this month.
We have a very packed agenda under number 13. 0. No, so Beth Ann mentioned earlier that we have received a large packet from Strauss Esme. We will be reviewing that and we'll have more information to bring to the board for the August meeting.
Okay, great. Okay, is there a motion to approve item 13.01?
so moved, Schaefer?
Second,
Second.
Marmion.
Okay, moved and seconded, on a roll call.
Mrs. Riley,
Yes.
Mrs. Valpel,
Yes.
Mr. McMillan,
Yes.
Mr. Tavy,
Yes.
Mr. Fink,
yes,
Mrs. Marmion,
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes,
Mr. Stotts.
Yes. Okay, section 14, public discussion. This is the second section for the public discussion. You can ask anything you want, but again, same ground rules. Give us your name and address. Try and keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. And with that, you can raise your hand in the chat column. If you have anything to say, don't feel obligated to raise your hand.
Okay.
April raised her hand.
April Marino, 204 Landis Avenue in Oakland. Thank you for approving Oakland Soccer Club for facilities use. I wanted to ask though, when I had sent that in March, I also sent in a request for Oakland summer camps. Mr. Sinesi had requested our insurance or the borough's insurance, and I sent a list of camps to Ms. Coleman. Was that denied? I didn't see it on the approvals.
Yeah, well, it was not denied.
Hold on, it was included, wait a second. Oh, I don't have it. Hold on, it should have been on there. I don't have the attachments. I included, it was all in that same packet under one item.
yeah, I
Okay.
saw it on the agenda someplace.
Yeah, it was all in one.
Okay, I apologize if I missed it. I just
No,
wanted
it's,
to make
I'm pretty sure it
Thank
was
you.
all in one. Let me just make sure I'm not like losing my mind.
Are you doing the rocket noodles, whatever they are?
It's
Yes, the Boy Scouts are.
I saw it.
It's attached on
It's
the board,
attached.
on the board
Attached. I
member side.
apologize.
There's
Okay.
Okay.
two large attachments included.
Okay,
Yeah.
All
wonderful.
right, yeah, I thought I did,
Oh, I'm
but
sorry, I should have said that in, sorry, that's, I
That's
I
okay.
just didn't, I've got it on my phone and the iPad and I'm not doing a great job of manipulating the two.
It's fine. I'm glad it was approved. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anyone else, Beth Ann?
nope.
Okay, hearing none, we'll move along to item 14, which if memory serves me, is going to be adjournment. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
sorry.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much for coming, especially our Florida visitor.
Yeah. She can
Thanks,
go watch
Abby.
the fireworks now.
Have a great night.
All right,
Thank
guys.
you too.
Take care now.